Man, I do that almost every time. The mute button. Welcome to the Make Mental Health Matter show. I am your host, Kelli Melissa Reinhardt, and I think every single episode that we're doing in person, I just think it's so amazing to actually be in studio, although I keep, not pressing the mute button. I guess I could just not press the mute button. Anyways, if you happen to be listening or watching this for the very first time, thank you so much for tuning in. If this happens to be your 100th millionth, okay, you can't get a million because I haven't had that many episodes, but you may have been watching for the past 3 years. It's been almost 3 years. Holy moly. And now I have been doing some episodes in person, which is great. Having people in studio, just have casual conversations and really make those connections. So thank you so much for tuning in. And, maybe next week I'll get really good at unmuting. I don't know. I should just add some hilarious clips to all these. Anyways. All right. Not about me anymore. I'm going to introduce you to my guest, Randi Jo. So Randi Jo Pieper is known as the Queen of Burnout to Breakthrough. She began her career as a probation officer in 2004. Helping men and women who filled their voids with addictions. Over the course of her professional career, she has helped thousands of people of all ages reintegrate into society and find their place in society. After years of working with men and women on a deeper level, she's dedicated to become a life coach in 2013 and in the demanding world of probation and the criminal justice field. Self-care is often overlooked, which we're going to talk about. As someone who's been in the criminal justice field for over 2 decades, she has witnessed the toll that it takes. Burnout is a real challenge, and that's why she is dedicated to promoting self-care strategies through workshops, coaching, and support systems. Randi Jo really empowers people in the criminal justice field to prioritize their well-being, from stress management techniques to fostering a positive work-life balance. And her passion is to shift the narrative from burnt out to breakout. And together, she wants to have all of us build resilience, create a culture of self-care, and ensure that people in the criminal justice field not only survive, but thrive in their vital roles. See, I missed that one. Randi, thank you so much for being in studio and having this conversation.
I'm excited. Thank you so much. And it's like, wow, this is an opportunity to get it out there about us as probation officers. It's kind of like we're underlooked, not the underdog, but kind of underlooked, like, okay, there's always the first responders, but what about the second responders? So thank you for the opportunity to be here to speak about it.
Yeah, and I know I gave a very short clip of what you do and why you do, but can you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself and your story and your journey?
A little bit about me. Like she had said, I've been going on 25 years almost working in the criminal justice field. Started out as a 911 dispatcher, and then there was more to that. So I wanted to give back to the community more. And so I took a year off from that and went and got my criminal justice degree in 2004. And ever since then, I've been a probation officer. But I think when I think about it and looking back, it all started with my father as a firefighter. And he just was always giving his all, in undercover sheriff as well. And he would come home just exhausted from all this trauma he would see, but then he would go to the bars and drink. And I never could understand, it's like as a child, what did I do wrong as a child to make my dad go drink? And so I thought, this has got to be something there. And long story short, I think over that, it's just, I'm now seeing where my father came from in all this stuff, because he was in the Army as well, came home from that, and then he was a firefighter, undercover sheriff, and just different things he's done. And so I think that part, and Mom being a nurse, also giving trauma and coming home, it's just a lot. My dad was the alcoholic, and then my mom was kind of like the overeater, because that's how she would cover her addictions. And it's just been hard, not hard, but it just, as a child, it's like, what did I do? And I'm the oldest of 3 girls. So it's like, I have to be the mother figure here to help them get through this too. So that's kind of where it started. And then eventually, you know, I went to college and all this stuff and then became a probation officer. And I just love that career because I can give back to the community this way.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing your story and being vulnerable. And, it sounds like there was a lot. I mean, just all the roles that they played. There was a lot of trauma and maybe some other things, right, that were going through your dad or your mom's head, life, all the things, and then knowing that you were the kid that had to kind of take on that role a little bit. So that could be very challenging.
Yeah. And I choose to take it on, I think, as well. You know, just being the oldest. And it's like, okay, I can do it. They always, you know, I'm the mom.
Right, right.
As a child, you don't know what, you're just learning the ropes, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think about my sister, my oldest, she doesn't like me calling, my elder sister. She kind of took on that role too, right? I think as the firstborn, you tend to take on the role of mom, whether you want to or not, and not by any fault of our parents, but usually, I think the more the merrier, I guess, in a way. I'm the baby of the family, so I guess I was the one that felt all the support and the love and knowing that I had others to look up to. But as the firstborn, you kind of take on those roles. So I'm curious. And so what I love to do on the show is have more of the in-depth conversations of like really understanding where people come from and all the things, right? Which lead you into the place that you are today. But I'm curious, was there ever like, and I always say you don't have to answer these questions, but did it ever like lead you to a place of alcoholism or any substance use or anything of that nature in your life?
On my own? No, I chose, I guess I'll step back a little bit. It was in high school. My girlfriend and I were out driving and we got in Montana. It's called Marsh Road. And we went to the end of Marsh Road, and that's when back in the 80s, when you could, you know, big parties and bonfires and everything, and the cops would take you home.
Yeah.
Right? When you get that. But we were driving there, and we were doing slamming Jack Daniels on the dash. They call it the slammers or whatever. I can't remember when. It's been a while. So anyway, she was driving, and she was coming home and driving us there, and all of a sudden, she got paranoid, and she saw a cop coming. And so she overcorrected, and she swerved and hit a parked car. And so thank goodness the car was parked, and then the cops came and all this, and you could smell alcohol. And so back then we had a lot of our friends show up and say, what's wrong? You guys okay? Yeah, we're okay. And they said, okay, the battery acid, just say that's what the alcohol smell is. So instead of because it hit the battery and everything, they said, okay. So they go, okay, it's battery acid. It's not alcohol in your breath. It's battery acid. So they're just telling us we're 18. So in Montana, you can drink, get liquor at 18. It wasn't liquor, but it was, we had the whiskey. So, but anyway, long story short, my dad came on scene, and he was a firefighter, right? Come on scene, and he goes, what's going on here? Well, then I made the story up. I said, Dad, maybe if I were to get in trouble with drinking, maybe you would quit. So this was in 18. And he just, I think he took it oh my gosh, she might be onto something. But needless to say, my father, he passed away from alcoholism. So at a young age, at 64. So that started the thing, is how can I help other people from not wanting to drink? So needless to say, I never did drive and drink at all, ever since that time.
Yeah.
And so we just did, she was driving. And so that part of it, never did drink and drive. So I learned a lot from that lesson, part of it. But I think just wanting to help other people just to not go down that route. And so that's when I choose not to drink like my father did.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that, thank you for sharing that. And it's one of those situations that, it scares you into a better path in a way. But then you also, it's interesting that you thought of that in that moment of well, if I get in trouble, then maybe you'll stop. You put it back on your dad. But yeah, I love to know like the paths that people choose to take, and then also kind of leads us into what we do. And not that you had to be a probation officer or in the first responders world because both your parents were really there, but I think it's cool that it has guided you into that space.
Yes. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm glad. I wanted to be a probation officer in high school, too, because I had a lot of friends that would just get into trouble. Not so much trouble, but a little bit of trouble, and they'd come to me and talk. And so I wanted to do that, and I ended up not doing that at first, but it took me a while. It took me got my associate's degree, and then I finally got my bachelor's degree. So it took me, I want to say, it was 20 years before I finally got my bachelor's degree, because I wanted a taste of everything. First, I wanted to be a child psychologist, probation officer at high school, got out of that, wanted to be a child psychologist, wanted to be a nurse like my mom, and she talked me out of that because she goes, you don't want to do that. Anyway, too much paperwork, no bedside manners, right, anymore. Right. So that kind of part of it, doing that, and then eventually got married, and my husband said, you have all 96 credits here. You need to figure out what you're going to do with the degree. So I took a year off, thanks to him. And I got my criminal justice degree. And so it's been history ever since, they say.
Wow. Yeah, I always, nursing was like that thing that I wanted to do also. And then I started down the path of, I took like anatomy and physiology and we got to see the cadavers and all that was super cool. But then I learned that every bone in your body like has a name. And I was like, how am I going to remember all this stuff? Like, this seems really hard. Yeah. So I feel you with the changing of degrees multiple times. And then I actually ended up taking 10 years between, I was like, okay, now I'm wasting money. And then I'm like, I got to figure out what I'm doing. And then I finally went back and got my degree. So I feel you there.
Yep.
And so I do want to shift into like talking about probation officers, because you mentioned they're they are like the behind the scenes people that we don't think about as often. We're thinking about the first responders, the people that show up on site, emergency nurses, those, right? Until you start thinking about the criminal justice system. We're going to go to our quick first sponsored break. But once we get back, we're going to go more into that space and then also more about the self-care aspect of being a probation officer. And I'm sure we'll talk about some juicy things there too. Cool. So we'll be right back after this quick sponsored break.
1,917 people die daily from suicide globally.
I lost my middle sister, Carrie, to a completed suicide on February 20th, 2017.
How does Make Mental Health Matter save lives?
Number 1, awareness.
My story, all of it isn't unique. I am a domestic violence survivor. I was in active addiction, and because of Kelli and the work that she does and the opportunity to have my voice heard, I was able to stay clean and sober and have hit a year. I'm still here, and if it wasn't for Kelli answering my call the day that I thought I was going to take my life.
Number 2, conversation.
I'm curious, and I know that I've heard a lot in the BIPOC community, it is very hush-hush. It's like one of those things that you don't talk about. Like you literally feel like it's not a conversation you can have. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
First, shout out to Kelli, because I'm glad that she asked the question. I researched you before I went on your show, and I saw how real and authentic you were. And I just appreciate the question, because it is different and we have to have tough, courageous conversations. So yes, I always say I'm a triple diversity threat. I'm a Black woman with multiple disabilities. Now, I'm not really a threat, but to other people, I may be, because people fear the unknown and what they're uncomfortable with.
Number 3, education.
Kelli's passionate commitment to mental health awareness is a beautiful thing. It's clear in her social media posts, it's clear in the resources that she puts together, in the activities that she provides, her collaboration with organizations, and the consistent way that she continues to deliver a message encouraging people to understand that they can share openly and to break the stigma around mental health. Kelli's topics cover children and adults, talk about things that we can do as a community, things that we can do individually, and her website is packed with information and resources and all kinds of contacts that you can use to reach out, whether you're dealing with something yourself or you're looking to help somebody else who is struggling. I encourage you to check it out.
And like that, we're back. I didn't forget to unmute. Yay.
Good job.
So if you happen to be just joining the Make Mental Health Matter show, thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're listening or you're watching. My guest today, Randi Jo, we are chatting about her story and really what led her into being a probation officer. So I alluded to, before we went to the break, that we were going to talk more about probation officers. I mean, maybe general sense, but obviously from your personal experience, because I think, okay, well, maybe some people think about them, right? Those that maybe have been in trouble and they have a probation officer that they have to, I'm not well versed in this, so I'm not going to pretend like I am. But I know that whether you're in the system or you did something, I mean, there's a slew of reasons why people would have probation officers, and I'll let you tell, because I am not well versed. So
the reasons most generally people have is like DUIs, and then also if they were in a domestic violence situation, and that part, and then shoplifting. It's just a little bit of everything's when they go to the court, and then the court will say either you're going to do pay a fine, or maybe this is good for probation to help you with some resources that you need, maybe for your addictions, drug and alcohol addictions. And then also for domestic violence, we do have groups that they go to for anger management, and then it's an in-depth program they go through, and it can be up to 6 months or longer. It all depends on the person, how they're grasping onto the new way of healthy relationships.
yeah. So, I haven't ever, I did have a DUI in 2011, and I have a tattoo on my arm where I put the date because I was like, I don't ever want to do that again. It was by far that moment, right, in my life that I was like, oh my gosh, I need to change whatever's going on in my life, and it was really impactful for me. I also went through all the classes, and very expensive.
$10,000 at least.
At least, yes. And I actually got one of the best attorneys in Colorado at the time for DUI, and he used my tattoo because I went up against one of the hardest judges in Douglas County. This is what I was being told. And he used my tattoo as kind of the defense. And I remember even taking the classes, and the woman that did the DUI classes, she's like, I don't foresee you coming back. And I was like, I don't plan coming back. So I've been there. I have not made the best choices at times in my life, but I also think that we don't give enough credit, especially the probation world. And I know that I've done your events in the past, and we'll be doing it this year. And I'm starting to really understand that community a lot more. But I also know it's a very stressful job.
It's true. Very stressful. And a lot of us as probation officers, we put ourselves on the back burner. And the self-care is kind of put on the back because you want to get these people helped first. And so that's where I was at. I was a yes person, kept saying yes in my career. I can do this, I can do that, and I can even do committees. They say the more committees you're on, the more you'd be noticed in the department for growth. I said, okay, let's do it, let's do it. But in the meantime, when I was saying yes to all this stuff, I was neglecting getting my, some paperwork done at first. And then my mom had passed away. So that is where I was then put on a contract. So the mental health piece of it there, I wasn't there. I was just trying to cover up that pain of losing my mom. And so that's when I stepped in 2013. This is about 2015 is when mom passed away, but I kind of started doing life coaching in 2013 because there was just something I saw that we need to, as probation officers, get out there and kind of coach people on how to take care of ourselves first, because if we're not healthy, we can't help anybody. And so that's kind of where I've been ever since then, working in that wheel of just learning to say no. And I love the book, The Art of No. And the summary of it is, the more you say no, the more people respect you, which is crazy because you think, okay, I'm saying no, why are they respecting me? But they know that when they do ask you again, you say yes, that you're going to give it your all. Yeah. And you're not just going to scratch the surface. And that's where I was getting to. I was just scratching the surface to get my stuff done. And so just the self-care and taking care of yourselves, sleep, big time sleep, 7 to 8 hours if you can. That's great. Just little bits here and there.
Yeah, you probably have been through similar. I started in the self-development world, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have those people that are like, yes, 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 yes. You got to say yes to everything because everything is a yes. And if you don't say yes, then you're going to miss an opportunity and blah, blah. Anyways, that's what I heard for so many years. And I was like, yes, 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 yes. And then I got to a place that I was like, I can't do all of this. Like, I mentally, physically, emotionally am exhausted and I'm not tracking anything that I'm doing. And the moment that I made that shift into no, and I need to release to actually open up space, it was so, I was like, oh my God, I got to tell them that I don't want to do this project. And then I let it go. And it took them some time to catch up to me too. And then, so there's one instance that I'm thinking that I was like, yes, I'm in. And then I was like, this is not really right for me. It took about 2 months for that person to acknowledge that I was like, I want to get out. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. A committee. And then once, it took them so long that I was like, well, maybe I'll just recommit and see how that goes, right? And then they're like, well, no, I think it's better that you're not. And I was like, in my brain, I was like, but I already recommitted. And then I let it go, and it opened up so many like bigger, better, cool things in my life
that you enjoy doing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Not just do it because they want you to do it.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's a battery, right? We wake up every morning and our battery's full. But where are we going to put that energy, that battery and stuff into? Is it something we enjoy? Or is it something that we have to do that just to please people?
Yes.
And that's learning different ways to do that too. Still, there's days, oh, sure, I can do that. Then I'm like, you get into the project, it's like, what was I thinking?
Yes. Right? Yeah. You're like, why am I doing? All right, I'll just do it.
Yes.
But I think, so kind of going back to just even in public service, right? Like being in public service arena and the space of caregivers and helping, like, we often are the ones that forget about ourselves the most. I'm very bad about that, and I know it translates even into my home life a lot of times, is that I am so focused on whatever it is that I'm doing that I don't even give the space for my family sometimes. And so and I'm assuming that even with probation officers, that's a lot of what happens, because you guys don't like just fit in 9 to 5. Like, that's not how it works.
No, our schedule is 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, but it's not. No, you take this stuff home with you. If you learn not to leave it at the door, you take that home. Then you're probably checking your phone for emails. Oh my gosh, what do I need to follow up on because I have some downtime now? I've done that, and I still do to sometimes. It's like if something really eating at me, it's like, okay, just get it taken care of now. And then, but it's like, then my husband's in there, hey, I thought you were off work.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I am, I promise.
I promise. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just, making sure that we do take care of ourselves first. And it's okay to be selfish. Just be selfish. It's not selfish. The word sounds not good, but it's okay and sometimes it's okay to not be okay. And that's what I've noticed too. I've gotten to, as I get older, I'm pushing the almost 60 right now. So it's like, okay, what's the wisdom I can take and give back in this legacy when I get close to retirement here, which I'm, hopefully going to do that in about 3 years or so to retire.
Nice.
So, but I want to leave a legacy for my department and to take care of themselves, because I have a lot of young probation officers that are coming in to the this world, and they're new moms, small families, young families, and it's just like I see the overwhelm in their face. It's like, it doesn't have to be this way. Let's kind of just take care of yourself first. What can we do? What kind of steps can we do? So,
yeah. And I mean, having somebody like you that has been in the, in that world for so long, and then also like really shifted into a coach and mentor, and being able to talk more about what has helped you in the past and what you've noticed has helped other people. I just think that that's really important to have your knowledge. And I would never imagined that you were pushing close to, you look really good. So
thank you. It's a Norwegian in me is what I tell.
There
That's
you
what my
go.
grandma always said too. So
it's a Norwegian.
it's a
right?
Norwegian.
Yes. But I mean, being able to know that there are things out there that can help you, I think is the important part too, for people to know.
Definitely. And it's okay to ask. That's the thing. It's like, they don't want to look, because when I was a new PO, it's like, if I ask, I'm weak, right? So it's like, it's okay to ask those questions, because I had several mentors when I first started that are still good friends with right now, that have retired. And it's like, I am just blessed to have them as their legacy. They left me, so then I can trickle it down to the next generation here coming in. So
yeah, that's important. We're going to go to our quick last sponsored break, but when we get back, I know you do other things too. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But we'll be right back after this quick sponsored break.
Have you ever felt completely alone?
Like your life doesn't matter.
One person dies due to suicide every 40 seconds.
You are not alone. Call the National Suicide Lifeline at 988.
Hope and recovery is possible.
1 in 8 people globally live with a mental disorder.
That's why empowering minds saves lives.
We need your help.
With only $19 a month, you help us save lives through mental health and suicide prevention education.
Scan the QR code or go to makementalhealthmatter.org to sign up as a warrior for mental health today.
Hi, I'm Ann Scotland, the host of Global Socialpreneurs. Join the experts, 12 p.m. EST on the Fresh Takes TV network for the best advice on social entrepreneurship. Join us here on E360 TV.
Hi, Laura Cross, your host for Mindful Mondays, every Monday at 1 p.m. Central Time, where you can embark on a transformative journey of self-care and ultimate happiness. Tune in to the Voyage to Vitality channel on the Achieve TV network. Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross. Be there, be mindful, and join us on E360 TV.
And like that, we're back to the Make Mental Health Matter show. If you happen to be just tuning in, make sure you go back to the first half of this and listen or watch, because you missed a lot of goodness. So Randi Jo and I are just really talking about the probation officer world. And you mentioned something too about how a new PO that comes in and they may not ask for help. And so when I think, and this may just be my belief, but when I think of a probation officer, it is somebody that like has to have their shit together, and they have to like be that strong, like dominant, because I'm sure you deal with some people that are maybe not so nice and or possibly could take advantage of the situation is my thought. But so knowing that new POs that come in, they're probably like, well, I can't ask for help. Like I have to know everything that I do.
Right. And that's what I think, it's just how you look at it when you first start. You assume. And what does assume mean, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I learned that too. It's like, okay. But for the most part, we work with people that just like to know what buttons to push and kind of like, sway you a different way. Like, okay, I'm really like just a gentleman that I ran into today said, when he was on 24 years ago and he gets a call from his PO saying, hey, why is there cocaine in here?
Yeah.
And he goes, it wasn't mine. You might do it over. It's like, really? Huh? Yeah. So I've gotten to learn a lot of body language too. So that comes with the territory too. As you working in this field too, is a lot of that. But as the young ones, it is like the boundaries. That's the first key you put in. You should put the boundaries. You have some kind of empathy for them. Don't get me wrong. Especially the economy nowadays, it is a lot. And just looking and hearing the trauma dump on you daily, and that's becoming more and more in our field. And just how can we de-escalate, not just to debrief from that. And so we do have a program within our department, our little community there. In our office is we have debriefing day. And it may not be in the right time, but it's like my door's always open. If you just had a struggle with a client, just dumped, come on in. Because I'm all part of the PRT there too, peer response team. And for mental health. So I'm on that team too, so my door's always open. But just encouraging the young ones, it's okay. It's okay. You're not going to get fired over the deal. You're asking, right? Because you're like, okay, I'm on probation for a year now as a PO. No pun intended, right? Yeah. But you got to make sure you do everything right. And there is, maybe it's just asking the right questions, or asking any question is not stupid, is in what I've always tell the client, the clients plus my coworkers too. The ones that I mentor. So it's just, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably, I didn't actually think about, I'm sure you do get that like trauma dump, or it's just like this, and this, and this, and this happened. And you may get some people who don't take responsibility for what they do. So they're like, well, it's so-and-so's fault, or so-and-so's fault, or it's my parents, or right. Yeah. So I didn't even think about that trauma dump. And you're like, okay, I've got to, you're almost like their therapist in a way, right?
You are.
And you have to absorb, but then also kind of filter through what is real, what is maybe made up in a way, and then how can we like shift, because now we're going to spend a whole bunch of time depending on how long you have with me. And so I'm sure it is just one of those that I could only imagine what you hear.
It's a lot of sadness too, and you just want to help them as much as you can. But then again, you're on a budget too to help with vendor services, and that's, cutting back too, because the state is kind of broke right now. And like everybody else is, we're all feeling it in our pocketbooks. So it's like, how can we be creative in our department to teach some classes that we are certified in already, which we're utilizing a lot of that too. Nice. To help and have them come to the office more once a week, which I think helps a lot too. What is nice is having the clients come into a group setting in the office, and you being the PO there has helped too, because you can kind of see where they've come, and then other people will help the other clients that are on there will help the person that's saying, okay, it's my dad's fault. It's because my parents did this as a child. The other people will say, hey, you got to take some accountability here. And so we've seen a good shift in that, which helps a lot. It's like, okay, I'm just going to do groups all the time and not meet them one-on-one, because I think you have the help of the other people that have walked that walk. And me as a PO hasn't walked that walk. Yeah. And so I love it that we have them coming into groups and helping us too.
Yeah, no, I think that's important. And I think community, right? Yeah. Like I talk about it all the time, right? But community and connection and knowing that you're not alone. And maybe on that one-to-one, they're like, well, I'm the only one that ever goes through this. And you're like, the last 10 people I saw
right?
were in the same boat, right?
True.
But when you put them into a group, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And they can be like, oh, is that really the thing? But I also know that in your community, you guys do a lot more, or at least for me, it feels like you guys do a little bit more for the probation officers. Like I know you have an event that is coming up.
We do. This is our annual wellness event that we have coming up on March 11th. And we have all the vendors that we work with come in as vendors. And Kelli's one of them. So it's kind of cool to have her there. And we also have speakers too to talk to the POs of what resources they offer to our clients. So it's nice to put a face to our therapists that we work with too. So it's been going on for a few years. I don't know how many, but then we had COVID, so we had to stop for a few years. But this is the third year that I've been chair, and I have a couple co-chairs that help me out with this too. And it's fun. It's it's a lot of work, but it's like rewarding just to see everybody like, oh my gosh, this is nice that we can also have a place to come and meet different things. And it's not all vendors, it's vendors like mental health piece, right? Yeah. And we also have people coming in we have yoga and we also had some lady bring in some plants, therapy, just different kind of therapy stuff just for POs. And then also the treatment providers, just a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's super cool. And that's when I really started getting a behind the scenes of the probation world and knowing how stressful it is. Because again, like we were talking, we don't talk about it as much, that community. So if you are a probation officer out there, we see you and we know what you probably go through on a daily basis. And every community is different. So if you can provide, whether it's a health and wellness space or maybe just some extra tools in the tool belt as far as getting education, some self-care information, that is wonderful. So I love that you guys do that. The other thing I wanted to talk about, which I alluded to before we went to the break, is I know you personally have actually stepped not only into the coaching role, but you also stepped into speaking and writing. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, that's my therapy. That's my self-care, is writing. It's weird that I'm author of a couple books here and not co-author, I guess you could say. I was told as a young age I would never could write. I wasn't a good writer. Wow. And so it's like, wow, this is so it's kind of stopped me. I've always wanted to do a children's book, but then I was offered to do a book with women, and there was 22 of us. Actually, I have it right here, 21 of us total, and it's called The Empowered Woman's Path. And it's a book about 21 women that have gone through different things. And my story's in here with my dad, the struggle with my dad and his alcoholism and how I was hoping I could save him. So my story's in here. And then there's 20 women. I'm just in this book with their own stories. Some are surviving cancer survivors, domestic violence. There's a lot of different here. So there is a book here on Amazon. So if there's something you guys are wanting to know more about, that is a really good therapy. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. It's published. I did it. And I can't remember who told me that, but it's always been in the back of my mind that you're not going to be a good writer.
Interesting.
And so it's I just wish I knew that person. Say, hey, here.
Hey, by the way.
And it's on Amazon, bestseller.
Tell me not to do it, and I will.
Exactly. That's me. Yes. Or tell me if I have to do it, but I have to know why.
Oh, right. Yes. And I know you also brought another one. You're a co-author in too. Tell us about that one.
This one is Mission Accepted. I just love the title of 262 women, entrepreneurs, creative and media. Wow. So there's 262 women in this book, and mine's in here, just a little chapter of that as well. And this is international as well book, and it's traveling. It's gone from started in Vancouver, Canada, and it's been to Ireland, and it's been in New York, so it's been on the Times Square. It's pretty cool. So the next 5 years, this book is going to be a traveling book. So being part of it, and there's several people in here, like Forbes Riley's in here, who is also my speaking coach that I work with over the last 2 years. So nice. She's helped me with the speaking piece of it. So yeah,
very cool. Yeah, I love the co-author books. I am part of 3, and there was a 4th, but it never got published, which is very sad. But you and we were talking about writing our own books.
Right.
So eventually you'll have your own. And interesting that somebody told you at one point in time that you wouldn't be a writer. But hey, look now. She is Anne speaking. So tell a little bit more about your speaking. And I know you and I have been helping, at least in the TEDx realm too. But tell a little bit more about speaking.
I love to get on stage, and that is my thing was the TEDx. Getting on there and speaking about probation and the self-care and probation, working toward that, but just getting on stage too. If anybody knows of any speaking gigs coming up here of self-care in the criminal justice field in general, because I work with judges, I work with, attorneys, everything too, because that field is really tough as well. And teaching world too. There's just a lot of self-care if you really think of it as second responders. So it's just how to get out there and tell people that we do matter. We do matter. And don't let anybody know that your job is nothing. And I think when I was first as a PO, it's like, they say, what do you do as a career? And I said, probation officer. And I'd be kind of embarrassed because it's like, ooh, what is, But now I've gotten there. It's like, you know what? I'm a probation officer. I help the community. And that's my thing, is make sure the community is safe. That's my first thing to do. So getting out there and speaking about it. And I think I'm excited. It's, this is kind of, I'm revving up to it when I retire. So I'm kind of just planting the seeds right now. And then I can go full time when I retire.
Nice. And I mean, at least for me, and the reason why I stepped onto stage I had somebody tell me that I was going to be speaking, and I was like, what? I was like, me on a stage? Like, public speaking was the worst class that I took in college. And I literally was sitting there holding the paper, and this was how I was talking. So I would have never imagined that I would ever be speaking on a stage, nor having a show. And so knowing that the power of our voice, the power that we can really share our experiences. And I love that you do it in the criminal justice world, because I know we think as society, we're like, oh, that's such a tough place to be. And it's an environment that can be very stressful. But we also, almost in our brain, we're like, they're tough enough. What do they need? Why do they need help? Right. Mm-hmm. But being able to talk about it and help others on a larger scale, that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And just getting out there and just, being the voice for the others. And that's kind of where I'm at too, as a CASA volunteer. So I was a voice in the ears and the eyes for the judge in CASA, which is a court-appointed special advocates for the youth that are been neglected. So that's kind of where one of my journeys too led me into doing probation as well. So, wow. And also on the eyes and ears for the judge too, when we meet with our clients. So when we do the reports too, it's just like, they have a story. All our clients have a story. And I want the judge to hear their story, and how can we help them to become better and better in society, and just say this is just that split decision they made, that 10-second decision they made, doesn't label them for the rest of their life. And that's what I keep telling my clients, this, just because you did that decision, you're not going to be this person for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and kind of goes into actually the guest that I had last week. We were really talking about that non-judgmental aspect, is making sure that whatever your history is, whatever your past was, and especially, I mean, in the probation space, is that we really have to get to a place of not only self-care, because when we can do better for ourselves, we can do better for others, but also that aspect of the non-judgmental. I know that there are certain people out there that manipulate the system, and we have to be aware of that. Yep. But how can we go at it from a different space that's non-judgmental and a little bit more empathetic, versus people just being numbers, right? Right. That's how I imagine it.
Exactly. And that's the thing, the number thing too, is they feel they're a number, but they're not. And I think just getting out there, and the mental health is coming more prevalent. People are saying, I do need help, and it's okay. And I'm not weak. I just need help.
Yeah. Ask for help if you
need.
I know it's easier said than done.
It is.
We get it. But there's lots of people out there that want to help. And if you happen to be in the criminal justice or in the system, I'm going to quote unquote, the system, and you have a probation officer, they might be a really great resource to talk to.
Exactly.
So if anybody, because we're coming to the end, I know it goes so fast, but if anybody wants to follow you, find out more information about what you do, or bring you on to their stage, what is the best place for them to do that?
I'm on LinkedIn, and I also am on Social Tap, which is, it's kind of, will this be in the show notes then too?
Yep, I'll add it there.
Perfect.
And I'm going to drop it. It's somewhere down here over here.
Okay, awesome. And also on there is a free ebook for the criminal justice working. It's resilience. I'm going to look at my notes because I wrote it down and I can't remember what it is. But it's a mission. It's what it is. It's just from a burnout to breakthrough and getting through that resilience in a stressful career. being resilient. And it's a free ebook that I have on my thing, the social tap /Randi Jo. And has all my other information. My website's on there and everything too.
Nice. And it is, if you're listening, I'm going to get really close to my computer so I can actually read it. But it is sociatap.com/RANDIJO. And that's how you can find, so it's Sociatap. That's how
yeah, something like that.
.com /Randi Jo. So if you want to find out more information, you can definitely go in there. And yes, it will absolutely be in the comments. So you can go in there too. But any final thoughts that you want to share with the audience?
I just want to say thanks for having me on here for that. And the audience too is just like, if you work in the criminal justice field, please reach out to people that are there to help you, you know, mental health. You know, if it's something that you think, okay, I want to go out for another binger, we've had that too. You know, it's not an easy life. And I was a 911 dispatcher. I've seen a lot in the criminal, with my dad being an alcoholic, in the firefighter, law enforcement with police officers. I've seen it too. Just people just kind of cover up the pain that they've witnessed. And it's okay to reach out.
Love that. So I hope that you got some great information here, whether you are in the space of probation officer or criminal justice, public service, first responders. You are important, and we really have to take care of ourselves to be able to take care of others. And I'm sure you've heard that over and over and over and over, or the put your oxygen mask on first before you help others. It is absolutely true. And I promise you, the more that you fight against it, the harder it may be. So when you embrace it, or maybe you just find something that works for you specifically, because the things that work for Randi and I may not work for you. So really, try different things. If it's not working, try something else. I promise there are so many different self-care tools, techniques, ways that you can try. See if it works. And if it doesn't, throw it out the door.
Exactly. And if it's even a brain dump too, because I really like that with the journaling too. So if you just take a notebook, just a regular notebook, and just write down everything on your thoughts that you have, you do not have to go and correct it. You just tear it up, throw it away, because it's just brain dumping. Or also a gratitude journal. I'll do that too. Or I'll get up in the morning early and have my coffee and read scripture too. It helps too, just to calm me down for the day, because I know when I get in there, I don't know what I'm going to expect when I get to work.
I love those. Throw it away or burn it.
Yes, burn it.
Burn it. Burn, baby, burn. No matter what you do, don't burn this episode. Come back and make sure you check out next week's, because I also have an incredible guest that is coming up. You can either watch this on E360 TV at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, or you can listen on Dream Vision 7 Radio at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. Mountain Time by simply saying, Alexa, play Dream Vision 7 Radio. I hope that this information was helpful. Even if you're not in the criminal justice space or probation officer, you can use some of these self-care techniques. And if you want even more, go download the free ebook on Randi Jo's website. I will catch you all next week. Bye, y'all.